What's going on, Blue Jay fans? What's going on, Oriole fans? Another split? How did that happen? Let's talk about it. It's time for another episode of Blue Jays Game Recap. It's time for another edition of the Battle of the Birds. And it begins right now.
The Blue Jays are back, and right now, with the game having gone final, we are welcoming you in to Blue Jays Game Recap on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Now, let's go to your hosts of Blue Jays Game Recap, Thomas McGregor, Ali Musa, and Scott McGregor in the Sports for Beginners podcast studio. Take it away, gentlemen, because when the umpire says, "You're out," or "That's the game," or "Let's play ball," we know it's time for some baseball. This is Blue Jays Game Recap. Take it away, gentlemen.
Rain, rain, go away, come again some other day. Welcome in, Blue Jays fans. Welcome in, Orioles fans. Welcome in, baseball fans in general. Welcome to another episode of Blue Jays Game Recap. I am your host, Scott McGregor. As you can see by my attire, I am a Blue Jays fan. As you can see, I got a little Alek Manoah going on here. I got a George Springer jersey going on here. And I also have a Blue Jays cap going on right now. We'll get into that another time. We have some things to get to. Number one, as we welcome you back to Blue Jays Game Recap here in the opening of the program, we're talking Brandon Hyde versus John Schneider once again. So those are our managers we're talking about. But before we get down to business and recap the weekend games in a 2-game set, this series with the Baltimore Orioles was supposed to be a 3-game series. This was supposed to be a 3-game series. It became a 2-game series because due to thunder and lightning down in Camden Yards, or whatever the case was, Friday's game was rained out and will be made up as part of a doubleheader for the next time the Blue Jays and the Orioles are set to do battle at Camden Yards. In what was supposed to be a 3-game series is now going to become a 4-game series with a doubleheader on July 29th, 2025. So let's talk about the games. Let's talk about the games that did go down. First of all, as we go ahead to share our screen, let's remind you of where things are at right now. as far as we sit here with the standings, our baseball standings right now for the Blue Jays and Orioles division. The Orioles are 6-9. The Rays are 7-8. Red Sox are 8-9. The Yankees are 8-7. And right up there, ladies and gentlemen, right up there are your Blue Jays at 9-7. As we speak to you on this Monday morning of April 14th, 2025, the 9-7 Blue Jays will take on the Atlanta Braves, who in their division sit last in the NL East. The Blue Jays will take on the 8-8 Seattle Mariners later in the week, when we see City Connect Friday at Rogers Center for the second time this season. It's another Looney Dogs night tomorrow night during the Atlanta Braves series. And we'll get to all of that later on in the program. But since we brought up Seattle and Atlanta, the NL East standings look like this. The New York Mets are 10-5. Philadelphia Phillies are 9-6. Miami Marlins 8-7. The Washington Nationals are 6-9. And the team the Blue Jays will face today to kick off a 3-game season series are 4-11. On Seattle's side, at the AL West, the Mariners are 8-8 and in third place right now. The Angels are 9-6. The Rangers are 9-7. The Houston Astros are 7-8, and the Athletics are 6-10. All right. Enough gab on standings. We're not going to share the screen for these portions here, but let's go ahead and talk about excuse me there. Let's go ahead and talk about the pitching duel. On Saturday, April the 12th, 2025, the matchup between Bowden Francis and his opponent that he was supposed to take on Friday's matchup would go down. It would be Tamayuki Sugano. Francis would get the loss, but Tamayuki Sugano is not credited with the loss in this one, or the win. The third pitcher that came in for Baltimore is credited with the win. His record 1-0. ERA 1.29. Bowden's record 1-2. His ERA coming out of the game 4.76. And we'll get into that a little bit later. There was a save, and it's by the Orioles closer, Felix Bautista. Bautista's ERA as he grabs his first save of the year, 4.50. All right. We'll go to the Lions score for game one, and then in the second half of the program, we'll break down the scoring for this game, and then go into the second game, which was on Sunday, not Thursday, Sunday. At this point in time, the Blue Jays were second in the AL East, and the Orioles were fourth in the AL East. By the time the Blue Jays beat the Orioles on Sunday, which wound up going into extra innings, we got the Blue Jays in first place, and in fifth place, the Orioles in the AL East. With that being said, here's our line score. For the Blue Jays, and this is for Saturday's game, for the Blue Jays, 4 runs on 10 hits, 1 error. For the Orioles, 5 runs on 5 hits, no errors. We'll get to the winning pitcher for the Orioles on the other side, along with some key scoring moments in our scoring portion of the show, as Blue Jays game recap Battle of the Birds rolls on. We'll also take that moment to go into game number 2 from Sunday. Look forward to seeing you there for the program. We will have that for you coming up on Blue Jays game recap. Who were the starters? How did it end up in extra innings, the game on Sunday? What was our final line score? Players of the series coming up later in the show as well. And upcoming series for both the Blue Jays and the Orioles. Stick right with us, because Blue Jays baseball on Sports for Beginners will continue in a moment.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, 2 powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait! I think I made it! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more.
To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Blue Jays game recap. Welcome back to Blue Jays baseball on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. We'll go back to Blue Jays game recap. Before the break, we talked about who the Blue Jays are taking on today as we prepare you for that game. Game time in a couple hours from now. It will be at 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:07 p.m. Central Time, 4:07 p.m. Pacific Time. And speaking of that, before we drop into the scoring moment of Orioles versus Blue Jays from Saturday, we'll get to Sunday very soon. But before we jump the gun there, let's take a look at our action on the slate today at the time of our recording. Let's take a look at our action, shall we? I think we shall. Let's go ahead. Tonight, action starts at 6:40 p.m. Eastern with the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Washington Nationals. 5 minutes after 6:40, we've got the Philadelphia Phillies going head-to-head against the San Francisco Giants. And then a full slate of games on the 7 o'clock slate. The Rays will battle the Red Sox at 7:05 p.m. Also getting underway around that time, the Yankees and the Royals, of course, weather permitting in each area for every game. At 7:07 p.m., as I mentioned, the Blue Jays will be taking on the Atlanta Braves. The Tigers, 40 minutes after 7 p.m., will be taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Mets will take on the Twins at that same time. Also in the mix, 45 minutes after 7 p.m., it's the Astros and the Cardinals from St. Louis. And then later on tonight, we've got the Cubs taking on the Padres, and the Dodgers will host the Rockies. The Orioles are idle for this game, or for today. So they are on a off day today. They will be back in action most likely tomorrow, but they are off today. And with that being said, we're going to stop the share. There we go. And we're moving in to the action. Excuse me there. From around the MLB on the day of the game. First up, as we look at this 2-game series between the Blue Jays and the Orioles. Supposed to be a 3-game series, but the third game was rained out due to what I believe, and I haven't really looked at reports there, but that's besides the point. We understand that there was some thunder and lightning in the area, so no opportunity to get the game going on Friday. So the game would go on Saturday. And then the game on Sunday would also go. Here's what happened in that Saturday contest where the Orioles defeated the Blue Jays 5-4, the final score. In case you missed the line score, just a quick reminder of that line score. For the Orioles, 5 runs on 5 hits, no errors. For the Blue Jays, 4 runs on 10 hits, 1 error in the game. We kicked things off in the top of the first inning with a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. double. His 4th double of the season is a sharp line drive, and this will drive in Bo Bichette, who will score Toronto's first run of the game. So Toronto will take the early 1-0 lead. In the top of the second inning, Bo Bichette scores Nathan Lukes. And during the play, Alan Roden was on first base. So he will go to second base on the play. It's a Bo Bichette single to score another run. Blue Jays up 2-0. Top of the third we go. And you know what? Shout out to everyone, including myself. I mean, I'm the one hosting the program here, but shout out to everyone who was thinking, if Anthony Santander is not going to hit a home run in Rogers Center against his former team, he's going to do it in Camden Yards. And that's exactly what happened. Top of the third in this game, and that's exactly what Santander did. Fly ball, right center field, kiss it goodbye, first home run against his former team. First home run as a Blue Jay for Anthony Santander, better known as Tony Taters. Running everything into a 3-0 hole. Blue Jays up 3-0 on the Anthony Santander single home run. And in case you're unaware what I mean by single home run, I mean solo shot by Anthony Santander. His first of the season, first as a Blue Jay, and first against the Orioles. But don't think that was going to stop Baltimore. Back-to-back home runs in the bottom of the 5th and bottom of the 6th. As Houston Kierstad hits his first home run of the season to score Cedric Mullins, a 2-run shot, gets the Orioles on the board. It's 3-2, Toronto. In the bottom of the 6th, however, that 3-2 becomes 3-3 as Adley Rutschman hits his 3rd home run of the season. A fly ball deep right center field. And this one is gone. It is tied. Later in the inning, 2 runs come in to score on a Cedric Mullins double, his 4th of the season. They are Jordan Westbrook and Ryan O'Haron coming in to score. Cedric goes to third on the throwing error by left fielder Alan Roden. And just like that, what was 3-3 is now 5-3. Orioles have the lead. Top of the 7 we go. And the Blue Jays get one back, but Bo Bichette is able to score Nathan Lukes again. Only this time, Alan Roden is out at second, and Bo grounds into a double play. So it's a double play, but Nathan Lukes will score on the play. It's 5-4. The Blue Jays could take this game right back if they could get some more runs, but not to be the case. Well, there you have it. Quickly here before we switch gears to Sunday. The winning pitcher is the third pitcher out of the pen for the Baltimore Orioles. And that will be Baker. Nope, not Baker Mayfield, first of all, just in case you're wondering if I'm going to say Baker Mayfield. Nope, not Baker Mayfield. Brian Baker. He is credited with the win. His record 1-0. Struck out one Blue Jay, walked a Blue Jay. Gave up a run and a hit to a Blue Jays hitter. ERA 1.29. After a 4 2/3 inning of work for Tamayuki Sugano, who gave up 8 hits, 3 runs earned, 1 home run. That was to former Oriole Anthony Santander. He did walk 2 Blue Jays, and he didn't strike out any Blue Jays, so that's okay. But after the 4 2/3 of innings of work, his ERA is 3.86. Next guy up was Keegan Akin. He goes a third of an inning. And he's unable to he doesn't give up a hit, a run, a walk, a K. He doesn't get a strikeout, and no home runs. His ERA was 2.45, but he only got a third of an inning. Brian Baker takes over, goes an inning, and 2/3 before an inning. Before actually going an inning. Everything that I mentioned there. Next guy up, Gregory Soto would be in this matchup. He struck out 1 Blue Jay. Felix Bautista also struck out 1 Blue Jay. He took 2 walks though. But he was able to get the save. The Baltimore pitcher who came before Gregory Soto and Felix Bautista was Cano, Yenier Cano. who would go an inning, give up 1 hit, and nothing more. On the Blue Jays side of things, and this will be the last thing we do before we get into Sunday's game, where the Blue Jays beat the Orioles 7-6 in 10 innings. After Bowden and Francis, who would be credited with the loss, going 5 2/3, giving up 4 hits, 5 runs earned, 2 home runs, 5 Ks, and 2 walks. Next up, it would be Yariel Rodriguez, who would go 2/3 of an inning. Finishing off the day with an ERA of 8.44. No hits allowed, no runs allowed, no strikeouts, no walks, no home runs. Mason Flojarte into the game, strikes out an Oriole, has an ERA of 6, no home runs given up, no walked batters, no earned runs, no hits. He went an inning and also wrapped up that inning of work for Yariel Rodriguez. He would be replaced by Chad Green, who goes 2/3 to finish this up. Gives up a hit, no strikeouts, no walks, no home runs, no runs earned. An ERA of 2.45 for Chad Green. All right, so the Orioles win Game 1, which was on Saturday instead of Friday. How did this game end up being a split? Well, first of all, the starters were different in this one, and we'll get to those in a second. But let me just finish off some thoughts from Saturday's game. And I was actually at a season ticket event for the Blue Jays, watching to be able to watch this game, and I really enjoyed what I was doing there. I won't get into further detail on that, but I thought Bowden Francis' performance was okay. For the longest time, until the Orioles scored a run, I did not even want to say Bowden Francis was throwing a no-hitter, which he was, but in the 5th inning, that quickly disappeared. That quickly, it disappeared. So, for anyone, I should say anybody, that wants to say, oh, my pitcher's going to throw a no-hitter, wait till it becomes increasingly clear that it will happen. Because not every day, or rather every game, no-hitters will happen in the MLB. It's hard to get a no-hitter. It's hard to get a no-hitter. It's hard to get a no-hitter. It really is. It really is hard to get a no-hitter. So Bowden had an opportunity, but 2 home runs squashed that opportunity at history for a Blue Jays no-hitter. But you know what? It's fine. Another opportunity on Sunday was squashed for the Blue Jays, but bright side, they pick up the dub. And that to me is all that matters. Because at this point, if the Blue Jays had lost the game on Sunday, I know it wasn't a 3-game series. I know it wasn't a 3-game series, but it could have been a sweep if the Orioles were able to win that game on Sunday. They lost the game on Sunday, but beat the Blue Jays 5-4 on Saturday. Blue Jays record at that point in time was 8-7. Record for the Orioles was 6-8. The Orioles went down to 6-9, where they stand currently. And the Blue Jays, go to 9-7, where they stand right now. We're going to break that all down for you in just a little bit. But first, a look at the line scores. We drop in now to Sunday. For the Blue Jays, 7 runs on 16 hits, 2 errors. For the Orioles, 6 runs on 9 hits, no errors. The winning pitcher is Jeff Hoffman. His record 2-0. ERA at the end of the game 0.96. The loss to Matt Bowman. His record 0-1. 0-1. ERA after the game 1.23. And last but certainly not least, starters for this game were Jose Berrios for the Blue Jays. And for the Orioles, they would go with this guy to counter Berrios, Cade Povich. Cade Povich gets the start against Jose Berrios. In Sunday's contest. Both team starters each went 4 innings, but pitched into the 5th inning, and it was Cade Povich who was taken out after 4 2/3. Berrios made it through 5 innings before he was taken out. Matt Bowman, by the way, with the loss. Jeff Hoffman with the win. No walk-offs in this one. But with that all being said, we'll jump into players of the series. Our upcoming series look-around coming up as well on the program, so be sure to stick with us for that. On deck next time on Blue Jays Game Recap is also on the way. And when we come back right off the jump, we are going into game number 2 scoring wise, and we'll talk about pitchers and all those those who were pitching in this game. We will talk about that all next on Blue Jays Game Recap. You are listening to Blue Jays Baseball on Sports for Beginners, the podcast. Check it out, also available on the Ice and Behind the Benches, with Thomas as your host. He's quite behind in it, but you know what? Behind is behind. What matters now is what's in front of us. And I invite Penguin fans who are also Blue Jay fans like myself to join me after Good Friday on Monday, April 21st, 2025, for the final recap of the 2024-2025 NHL regular season, as we recap Thursday night's action on Thursday, April 17th, 2025, between the Penguins and the Caps. More on what you can expect on that can be found on the latest episode of Penguins Postgame. This is Blue Jays Baseball, and it continues on Blue Jays Game Recap with more from the Battle of the Birds when we return.
What a busy traffic on this Friday evening. I am almost stuck in this traffic for the last 40 minutes. And there is no way, I think, for me to get to the show. The CNT Radio Song Bank, which is going to start very shortly. It's one of my favorite shows. And my, what a way to wind down for the weekend. Perfect 2 hours of fun-filled music. And she has so many great features. Sound of Music, Undercover, Foreign Exchange. Name that tune. And the big wheel that she spins. For Who's That? Or Where Are We? We cannot forget about the international stage. I have never come across such a great show in my life. I think I will have to press hard on my accelerator and go as fast as I can to get home in time. Wow! Wow! Look! I made it! I am almost there! CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
All right, welcome back into Blue Jays Game Recap. Thank you so much for being with us. Battle of the Birds Series 2, Split 2 of 162 games. I believe there should only be 2 more meetings after this one. But in case you missed it, before we get into Sunday's breakdown, in case you missed it, earlier, want to let everyone know that Friday's game for April 11th, 2025 was moved to July 29th, 2025 due to thunder and lightning, and was rained out on that day. Right now, we're taking you to Sunday's game. Jose Berrios versus Cade Podvich. Just a reminder, in case you missed the line score in the last break. For the Blue Jays, 7 runs on 16 hits, 2 errors. For the Orioles, 6 runs on 9 hits, no errors. Winning pitcher is the winning pitcher of this game is Jeff Hoffman. His record 2-0. The loss to Matt Bowman. His record 0-1. ERAs for both pitchers 1.23 and 0.96. Scoring. How did it happen? Well, Baltimore will take the lead early, bottom of the first, on a wild pitch from Jose Berrios. Gunnar Henderson on base at this time, scores on the play. Ryan O'Hearn to second base on the play as well. Adley Rutschman was in the game. And it was during this point in time when Adley Rutschman, actually no, maybe it was Jordan Westbrook. Regardless, at this point in time in the bottom of the first, whenever it was, Ryan O'Hearn would go to second base. Gunnar Henderson would score on the play. Whether it was Jordan Westbrook or Adley Rutschman in there. Oh, by the way, Gunnar Henderson, 3 for 5 in the game on Sunday. Anyways, moving on. Very quickly, Alejandro Kirk ties things up for the Blue Jays with his first home run of the season on a fly ball to left center field. Orioles have a 1-0 lead after 1 inning of play, thanks to a wild pitch. Kirk ties it up, and Ryan Mountcastle gets the lead back in the Orioles' favor with his first home run of the season A line drive to left field. It's 2-1 Orioles. Bottom of second. Top three, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Singles into right field to score Davis Schneider and send Bo Bichette to second base on the play. Back and forth we go. We're tied after 2 innings, 2-2. I should say after 2/3 of an inning. A fielder's choice gets Baltimore back in the lead after 3 innings of play. Baltimore is ahead 3-2. They go ahead 6-3 later in the game. And in the bottom of the 6th inning, but after the Adley Rutschman fielder's choice, which is where Gunnar Henderson would score again to make it 3-2 Baltimore. That happening in the bottom of the 3rd. Bottom of the 4th, Tyler O'Neill, 2nd home run of the season. 4th run of the game for Baltimore. It's 4-2 Baltimore after 4 innings of play. 4-3 Baltimore, top of the 6th, but after the bottom half of the 6th, which is where Baltimore would get a fielding error and score a run. First of all, Miles Straub will single on a line drive and score Ernie Clement in the process. That's what made it 4-3. At this point, it was 4-2. After the Tyler O'Neill home run. Now it's 6-3. Thanks to the fielding error. Jackson Holliday will reach on a fielding error. By Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Easton Kurstad scores on the play. And Ryan Mountcastle will score on the play. Jackson Holliday going to second base. 6-3 Orioles after 6 innings of play. A second double of the year for Alejandro Kirk. Blue Jays within 2. They were down by 3, now they're within 2. Andres Jimenez scores on the play. It's 6-4 Baltimore in the top of the 8th. Still top of the 8th, however. Davis Schneider grounds out to second baseman Jackson Holliday, to Ryan Mountcastle, but Ernie Clement will advance to third base. Tyler Heidemann scores. Uh-oh, here come the Blue Jays. It's 6-5. Uh-oh, here comes Toronto. And wouldn't you know it, we're back in a tie. Bo Bichette singles on a line drive to left field. Ernie Clement scores to cap off a great 8th inning for the Blue Jays. Nothing doing in the bottom half of the 8th for the Orioles. In the top half and bottom half of the 9th inning, nothing doing. But that means for the first time this series, we're going to extra baseball. and it's on a Sunday. Why not play extra baseball on a Sunday? Miles Straw's single scores the Jays' next run, which would be the game decision run, as Jeff Hoffman is able to get the Orioles taken down in the bottom of the 10th, I should say. Miles Straw's ground ball scores Andres Jimenez and also gets Ernie Clement to second base on the play. It's a single that scores Andres Jimenez and ultimately wins Toronto the ball game, as Jeff Hoffman is able to close things down in the bottom of the 10th. Alrighty. Players of the series time. Like we did last time, we're going to do it from the last game of the series. Starting with the Baltimore Orioles. I mentioned Gunnar Henderson earlier. 3 for 5 in the game. On Sunday, 1 strikeout. I thought Gunnar played really well, but I also got to give some credit where credit is due. I thought Cade Povich played really, really well. I didn't actually see this game, but I was following it because I was actually following also the afternoon game between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Boston Bruins. Find out what that final was on the latest episode of Penguins Postgame. But with that being said, I still think Cade Povich had a really good day. Yes, he gave up a home run. Yes, he walked a batter. Yes, he gave up 2 earned runs. And yes, he gave up 7 hits. But he still pitched 4 2/3. If you could pitch into the 5th inning, and even if you don't get out of the 5th inning, I'll take what I can get. If I can get 4 2/3 out of you. On to the Blue Jays side for the players of the series. And first one is going to go to Brandon Little. Nice innings of work there. I like the 2 outs there, but I would have preferred if John Schneider would have given you an opportunity to get out of the inning. He also, by the way, finished the inning for Nick Sandlin that Sandlin was pitching in. Oh, actually, no. No, I had that right. Brandon Little would pitch into the 7th inning. Barrios was taken out after the 5th inning of work. Sandlin would pitch the 6th inning, and then Little would pitch the 7th, the end of the 6th inning, and into the 7th inning. Mason Fluharde would finish off the 7th inning and pitch through the 8th inning. And then 9th inning and 10th inning belong to Jeff Hoffman. But I really like what both these pitchers did, starting pitchers, I should say. I love what they did. I think Barrios had a good day. Yes, he gives up, just like Cade Povich, 2 home runs. He gave up a home run, but he gave up 2 actually. 4 earned runs, 1 walk in the game, and 7 hits. But dude, Barrios was dealing 6 Ks in the game. I'll take that any day of the week. 6 Ks by my starting pitcher. I'll take that any day of the week. Even if you're able to get 2 Ks a game, if you're able to get 2 Ks a game, or 3 Ks, 4 Ks, whatever you want to call them, I'll take that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for the players of the series. We haven't done a play of the game before, since we reiterated from that, but I will provide you with my play of the game for the Blue Jays win, which was 7-6. Before we do that, a look at our umpiring crew, as we didn't do that for Saturday's game. At home plate, it was John Bacon. At first base, it was Sean Livensprager. Apologies if I pronounced the name wrong. And we had at second base, Nate Tomlinson and Mark Wagner. A couple of ejections were happening in this one. John Bacon ejected Orioles manager Brandon Hyde in the 3rd inning. And I also want to let everyone know, George Springer, he was injured in this game, I believe. Oh, actually, no. I don't see George on the lineup here for Sunday. Oh, no, there he is. Yes, he was hurt in the game. So Will Wagner had to come in to pinch hit for George Springer. He was injured. It was either on Saturday's game or in Sunday's game, but he was hurt. Hopefully it's nothing too serious for George, but we'll monitor that as well and wish him well. You know, I don't have too much of a problem of ejections. I don't have too much problem of ejections. I don't. I'm gonna admit that. I don't have a problem with ejections. I don't. But if you're gonna, not to steal a line from my brother and the other host of Blue Jays game recap on the ice and behind the benches, but if you're going to say something to get the umpire's attention and have your voice heard, but they don't like it, you better be careful what you say. All right, we're going to take a 1:30 break. We'll actually give it maybe 4 minutes and 30 seconds. But we'll hear 3 words from Sienna T Radio, including one from our good buddy Nick Blazewitz, host of The Melting Pot. And then we'll come back and wrap things up here. Orioles and Blue Jays. What's next in their season series? Or in this case, what's next in their season as the season series continue through and through games that go final. We'll be taking a look at where the Orioles stand and where the Blue Jays stand in their schedule, and I'll provide you with what's next for the Blue Jays as well as next time on Blue Jays Game Recap. And a reminder here, coming up in just a few moments' time, I understand that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be speaking to the media. So hopefully you join us either after that live or you join us before that. Regardless on when you are joining us, we humbly appreciate you tuning into the show. Holy moly, we're almost in an hour. Let's take that break now, and we'll come back after these words from our friends at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time. Finish your show and then let's do it. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to Blue Jays game recap. On deck for Blue Jays game recap. Next time is coming up real soon. But as we have hit the 1 hour mark of our program, we're going to jump into now. First of all, I want to remind you of our final scores. Blue Jays lost Saturday 5-4 to the Orioles in 9 innings. They defeated the Orioles 7-6 in extra innings, in 10 innings to the exact. In 10 innings to the exact. On Sunday, which was yesterday. And so with that said, our players of the series have been taken down. I even brought up one of the ejections that happened on Sunday with Orioles manager Brandon Hyde. And speaking of the Orioles, let's start, before we get to on deck for Blue Jays game recap next time, let's start our portion of the show here. Let's start our portion of the show here by talking about what the next two series for the Baltimore Orioles are. We had 2 games. And this was a 9-game homestand, by the way, for the Orioles. They were taking on the Blue Jays. They did 2 out of 3. The third game will be made up as a doubleheader on July 29th, 2025. We had Kids opening day at Camden Yards yesterday, when they lost that game 7-6 to the Orioles. Jackie Robinson Day is on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. That's when the Orioles will open up a 3-game set against the Cleveland Guardians as their 9-game homestand continues. And they will open up a 3-game set against Cincinnati on Friday, April 19th, 2025. That is set for April 18th, 2025 to April 20th, 2025. The Guardian series goes from April 15th to April 17th, which is Tuesday to Thursday. All games against the Guardians are evening games, with the first one starting at 7:05 p.m. Eastern on Jackie Robinson Day. For those of us baseball fans who celebrate Jackie Robinson Day, I know it's early given it's a Monday, but happy Jackie Robinson Day to you. All right, next up, let's take a look at the Blue Jays, and this will lead us into next time on Blue Jays Game Recap, or as I like to call it, On Deck for the Blue Jays. Well, on deck for the Blue Jays is a 6-game homestand. They will take on the Atlanta Braves starting tonight with Looney Dogs Night and Jackie Robinson Day. And of course, it's a school day on Wednesday in the finale of the Braves and Blue Jays series. The Blue Jays will then welcome in the Seattle Mariners for a 3-game set to start on April the 18th, 2025 until April the 20th, 2025. And that starts on Good Friday on City Connect Fridays, which are every Friday home game. The school day is on Wednesday when, if it was a 3:07 p.m. first pitch, it would be, yes, it would be a work from dome game. Instead, it's a school day game against the Braves. And the other 2 games are night games against the Braves. Jackie Robinson Day on Looney Dogs Night, which is every Tuesday home game. And the Blue Jays will battle the Braves at 7:07 p.m. tonight to kick open a 3-game set with the Braves. On the day of the final game of the series, I should say, against the Braves, depending on when we are able to do it, whether we do it audio, which is most likely, or we do it visual, we will see where we end up. I will be covering the Braves series, so we will have that next time for you on Blue Jays Game Recap. And immediately following the last Penguins post-game show of the season, I will break down the final homestand series in the second homestand of 2025's baseball season for the Blue Jays. Which kicked off with a split against the Orioles, a sweep against the Nationals, and then they got swept by the Mets in the first 3 road games of the season. Took 3 out of 4 against the Red Sox. And then, of course, Friday night didn't play the Orioles because of rain. Makeup will be on July 29th, 2025. But they did still play a series with the Orioles. It wasn't 3 games, but it was 2. And we'll take what we can get. So, on Thursday, which is an off day, Blue Jays Game Recap will be on Sports for Beginners for Braves and Blue Jays 3-game series wraparound. Mariners and Blue Jays following the final Penguins post-game show of the season, which will be a 1-hour special with tons of things to do, including the game puck of the game, shake of the game, game breakdown, you name it. We got it. That will be the last game breakdown we have for Pittsburgh Penguins hockey this season. But our Blue Jays coverage continues, and the next road series on deck on Blue Jays Game Recap is in the Bronx, when the Blue Jays take on the Yankees. We'll bring that to you ahead of the first series with the Red Sox in Toronto. For everything that I mentioned, I know we did not mention where, or what games I should say, the pitchers are. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to bring those pitchers to your attention for the Braves and the Blue Jays on the next episode of Blue Jays Game Recap. My name is Scott McGregor. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for joining me. If you like what you heard, please consider subscribing to the Weekly in Sports podcast channel on YouTube, which is Weekly in Sports with Scott. Please consider subscribing to Sports for Beginners, the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And of course, you can find it on the Weekly in Sports podcast with Scott McGregor YouTube channel. And consider subscribing to Weekly in Sports, our next Weekly in Sports program. We weren't able to do a Monday program, but we will try to do a April program for you. That will be coming up in the week of another road trip for the Blue Jays. And of course, our final recap of the year for Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. No Sports for Beginners show this week, so we will have another Sports for Beginners show for you in May, because we will be doing Blue Jays Game Recap on the series during that Friday, after Good Friday. And we will also not have a show on Good Friday. That would have been a last minute effort for another Penguins post-game show, the last one of the season. But we've moved that to a Monday. And speaking of that, it is Monday, April 14th, 2025. But that is it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Let's go, Blue Jays. And as always, not to steal a line from Tim Langton, but on behalf of everybody here at Sports for Beginners, I am Scott McGregor, wishing you a safe drive down to the ballpark, if you're going down to the ballpark today, whenever you may be tuning into this, whether it's before the Mariners series, before the next road trip, before the game today, or tomorrow, whenever it may be. I wish you a safe drive down to the park, and we'll see you on the next episode of Blue Jays Game Recap. I am Scott McGregor. We will see you next time. Lights up. Let's go.
Thank you so much for joining us on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, for Blue Jays game recap, the after show on Sports for Beginners, the podcast, right after every Blue Jays game. To learn more about upcoming episodes, when they drop, and schedule, please visit https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Follow the show on Facebook at facebook.com/sportsforbeginners87. Send us an email at sportsforbeginners87@gmail.com. Follow Ali, Thomas, and Scott on Twitter at Scott McGregor 3, Thomas J, and ALI Musa. Follow Thomas and Scott on Instagram at SMC_87_ and TM_80 and TM00_. Thanks for listening to Blue Jays Baseball, and we hope to see you soon again. This has been Blue Jays Game Recap. Once again, the website is https://sportsforbeginners0.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening. And when it's time for the Blue Jays to play ball, there's only one chant Blue Jays fans will be using. Catch you later, baseball fans.